Hi, I'm Tom Scioli, author of Godzilla's Monsterpiece Theater, a new comic series which is out right now.
I'm Matt Zeoli.
We saw Joker 2, Joker Folle À Deux, or whatever, Dola Foe,
I
Willem Dafoe.
Joker too. Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, what is it? Folle À Deux, Folle À Deux. So I know do is two, and folle I think is like follies, is it? Or is it like a joke or something? Like La Caja Folle, is it birds? Two birds? Birds of a feather? I don't know.
I only know it from it's the title of a Fall Out Boy album from 2007. Okay. That's the last time I've seen that.
Okay. I think it's one of those things like The Phantom Menace and Jar Jar Binks, where it's like everybody's like, oh, The Phantom Menace sucked because Jar Jar Binks sucked, and boo. And I don't think that's the case. I think it sucked because like the movie itself, like just nothing very interesting happened. It was just like a shitty movie all around. But Jar Jar Binks was like such an attention grabbing element that people were like, oh, that's why it sucked, and I think wrongly. And with this, I think this is a musical. And I think it would be easy to say, oh, it sucks because it's a musical. Why did they make a Joker sequel that's a musical? But I'd say it's not the music's fault. In fact, I liked the music. I enjoyed the music. I enjoyed it as an element. To me, it was the most interesting thing in the movie. And the songs are good.
Yeah.
I'd like to listen to the soundtrack album. But the problem with the movie isn't that it was a musical. That was a bold choice. But the problem with it was that nothing happened. Like, it was a completely dead in the water story where you're spending all your time either in a prison waiting for something to happen or a courtroom waiting for something to happen. Now, just looking at the posters and Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga and stuff, I thought we were going to get Natural Born Killers.
Yes, like a Mickey and Mallory.
Yeah, like that kind of, like, yeah, the two of them get together and cause all kinds of trouble in the world. And pretty early in the movie, like, they get together and then they make an escape attempt, which is thwarted immediately. But I thought, like, oh, cool, here's the escape attempt, and they're going to go out and going to cause all this trouble. But then, no, we're just going to stay, like, this movie is going to fail to launch. Like, we're just going to stay on the launch pad for the remainder of the running time and just kind of run out the clock.
Yeah, they seem to not leave that space for the rest of the film.
Yeah, and it wasn't a compelling courtroom drama. It wasn't a compelling prison movie. And I mean, you could say like, oh, maybe that was the point. Like, maybe they wanted, because I know part of the original Joker was sort of that so much of this stuff was going on in his mind, that so much of the drama, but there was still drama. There were still interesting things happening and interesting developments. And then by the end, you realize like, oh, so much of what we thought was happening in this movie was just, his imaginations. But you could have even done that in this movie. Like, you could have had them go on some wild, crazy adventure that was completely in his mind.
Yeah.
But not even that happened. It was like, even the fantasy is just them kind of hanging out and singing every now and then.
I loved the musical aspect.
Yeah, me too.
I thought it would be cool if they had like original songs. I think they were doing
they were doing covers that were kind of like standards or something with clowns. And of course, when they had the Fred Travalina,
oh my god, there's always a Joker in the deck.
Yeah, which as made famous from the Total Recall show, when that was in there, it's like, okay, is Todd Phillips watching the Total Recall show and getting his cues from us?
That was so exciting.
I liked the music. The one thing about the music, I did enjoy it. I liked that, but as it went on, it became one note because they had this type of arrangement for the songs, which at first was kind of cool, where they're slowly singing like a standard or something, and then it has this like cello, has like the big kind of like orchestral sound, but and kind of like a creepy orchestra. But I would have liked them to kind of vary it up and do a couple other treatments, but they were all in that.
After like the fifth time,
yeah, then it's like okay, yeah,
it's a little exhausting.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll probably find out the story of this movie as time goes on, because like they talk about for Batman and Robin, where it was like Joel Schumacher basically admitted that they just went into production too soon. Like, they did Batman Forever, and they were really happy with how that turned out. And then they went straight into Batman and Robin and didn't have a script. But they figured, hey, we'll figure it out on the go. And I feel like that's what happened here. It was like, okay, we'll figure this out. Yeah, he'll be in prison. He's going to be on trial, and yeah, we'll figure. Like, we don't quite have it all figured out, but and then as time went on, it's like, okay, well, it's going to come together in the edit. Don't worry. And so sometimes that does. Sometimes
Yeah.
something does come together, and it just never did. So like, I feel like it was that kind of project. I feel like it was one of those things where they thought like, oh, maybe we could make something out of this. We're not sure yet, but and hoping that magic would happen, and it just, and sometimes magic does happen, but in this case it just didn't.
It didn't.
So it's like a bummer. Like, it's been a long time since I've been to a movie like that.
I know what you mean. Like,
The first Joker, I enjoyed it in the watching of it, and then by the end when they sort of take everything away, I liked it less. They made you think that the Joker and Bruce Wayne were brothers, and that blew my mind. I was really excited about that in the first Joker, and then, by the end of the movie, they take that away from you. But it took me someplace interesting. So with this one, I thought, okay, the first one, it was a bunch of stuff. They take it away from you. It's all in their head. But maybe the second one is where he really comes into his own and really becomes like the Joker as we know. But also, like, from what I understand, Chris Nolan is like involved in these movies, like he's on a producer level or something.
Oh, wow.
Because I had read something where he said, because they were going to do a scene where Joaquin Phoenix cuts his face with a razor.
Whoa.
And that Chris Nolan said, you can't do that. Only the Heath Ledger Joker can do that. You can't do that. And so then, if that's the case, if they have to sort of defer to the will or the whims of Chris Nolan, even though, I mean, I love
The
Dark Knight. I love that that Joker. I love the Heath Ledger Joker. I mean, it's great, but it's still not it's not like the last word on that character. The Joker character, there's a lot you can do, a lot that can be said with it, and to be like, oh no, we got the Joker, we nailed the Joker perfectly, 15 years ago, or however many years that movie came out.
Oh man.
And so then it's like, okay, well then why are we making a Joker movie? You make a Joker movie so you can sort of top what came before.
Yeah, and you're worried too. Like, you feel like this is, Todd Phillips does his Taxi Driver take for the first one, and now it's like he's obligated to make this movie, or was he in?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's just the story of sequels in general.
Yeah.
Like, it's very rare that somebody's like, ooh, I got more story. It's usually like John Carpenter recently said with Halloween 2 that they basically gave him like more money than he's ever seen in his life, more money than he could imagine to write Halloween 2. I think it's something along those lines, but you still want to make something great.
Cool. And yeah, like there were moments that I really liked too, like in the third act when
you basically had the whole movie up to that. So it's almost like, okay, we have this cool moment planned, but until then, we're just going to stare at the clock. It really felt like we were just staring at the clock for the whole movie. Like, I can't believe it. Like,
it was
I can't believe they wasted our time. Like, I haven't had a movie waste my time like this in years and years and years. And we've seen a lot of movies for this show, and I've seen a lot of movies just for like enjoyment. And it's just been a really long time. Like, I just, Hollywood is so tight right now. Like, it's such a tough market that it's like they don't, they kind of don't put something out if it's not worth your time.
It really was. I felt like deflated after watching it.
Yeah, but then also I was kind of like, well, what did I expect? Because I just barely liked the Joker, the first one. Like, I just barely, I liked it in the watching, but then by the end, I was kind of like, oh, okay, that was all right. That wasn't great. Like it could have gone somewhere. It just didn't. And then this one, it's like, okay, well, I kind of knew, like, if I just barely liked the Joker, like, what chance does the Joker to have? I mean, I just thought, like, because Lady Gaga, she is really good in it.
Good performance.
And just that idea was so promising to have those two team up, and I thought there was going to be magic. I thought sparks were going to fly, and that they were going to, like, actually, it was going to be one of those sequels that improves on the original, but not at all. Also because I felt that, like, okay, maybe this first one's an origin story, and then the second one we're going to get the Joker that we, or something closer to the Joker we know. Because again, there is a range of things you can do with the Joker, and the Joker to me is like one of the great characters of literature. You know, if comics are literature, the Joker is one of the great characters of literature. And I really enjoy the character of the Joker, and I've enjoyed the character of the Joker in various forms. And the Heath Ledger Joker is great. I love it. I love that movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. But the best Joker is still Cesar Romero.
Oh yeah,
like
terrifying.
Like none of the Jokers. None of the Jokers have captured everything that the character is, but Cesar Romero captures this like homicidal joy that
scares the shit out of me to
that
this
the Joker
day.
has. You know,
I'm a fan of Lady Gaga, musically and in movies, but like she didn't even like elevate it.
All the things I enjoyed in the movie were basically up until it becomes clear that escape attempt is it. When they were heading for the gates, I was
excited,
like,
yes.
This movie is about to kick into high gear. And then it didn't. It kicked into low gear. Like, it really ground to a halt. So
I was crestfallen the minute they got captured and hauled right back in. I was like, wait, what?
And I'm thinking,
is going on?
Is it just budget? Is it like, okay, this movie is guaranteed to make, the Joker was such a hit. This movie is guaranteed to make this amount of money. So we are going to make this thing so cheap that like we get to pocket everything else. So we're going to have 2 sets. Yeah, they had 2 sets.
It's a bottle episode of a sitcom, like in movie form.
The other thing I was thinking, in the first Joker, he combines King of Comedy and Taxi Driver, 2 Scorsese movies, and then kind of uses that as like the vision board or the beat sheet or whatever you want to. So I thought, okay, maybe for this second one, it's like, okay, we're gonna do New York, New York. Now, I've never seen New York, New York, but that's like Scorsese's musical. So I don't know if maybe that's where they got them. It's like, hey, we'll do New York, New York. But the thing I was thinking is like, motherfuckers, why don't you do After Hours?
Oh my
God.
God.
If you're Scorsese,
dude, that's fucking brilliant.
After Hours was super low budget.
Oh my
God.
But
it was still like an adventure. It was like, this epic where they go from here to there, like it's like a journey, like a quest or whatever, like something like that, but on a shoestring.
It makes me hate the Joker even more, like after hearing that. Dude, that would have been great. And you can put in like the weird fantastical elements and like, is it in his head? Is it not?
And again, perfect. If you want it to be all in his head, well then great. Like I'm all for, like if we're gonna see some wild odyssey that's completely in his head, give me that. But instead they give you this like just like nothing, just this dirge where just nothing.
What a slog!
What a slog! And it also makes me think of some sequels, like Ghostbusters 2. It's like, okay, now the Ghostbusters are in court. It's kind of like a natural. It's like all the crazy stuff you see in the first movie. Now for the sequel, they're going to be in court because they get arrested. Or Dracula's Daughter, where it's like, okay, Van Helsing, you killed Count Dracula, and we caught you with the murder weapon. And now you're on trial. But all of those movies, that's just the start. They just kind of start off with that. And then, like Ghostbusters 2 isn't just them in court for the whole movie. It's like them in court at the beginning, and then they go off on their adventure. And, and there was like the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo series, and, the books and then movies. And like the first book, was so much fun, so great. And then the second book was kind of like tying up loose ends from the first book, so it wasn't as good. But then the third book was like courtroom drama, and it was just like, it keeps getting like less and less, grand and interesting.
I had high hopes the minute I saw it. I love a good cartoon intro, so I was like, oh, okay, are we doing this? This is it's gonna be good.
Even I don't know. Even the cartoon intro, it was like a little off. Like there was a lack of joy. Like, and again, okay, this is their take on the Joker. This is Joaquin Phoenix's take on the Joker. This is Todd Phillips' take on the Joker. But to me, the Joker is such like an appealing character. Like the evilness, there's an appeal to the evilness, but there's also an appeal to like the mania and the joy, and that the Joker is lights up a room and like takes control of situations. And so, okay, we're going to do a Joker that isn't that. We're going to do a Joker that's a shrinking violet, that is it has like no charisma at all, and is a mope, completely miserable. And again, like just saying it like that, it's like, ooh, that's an interesting take. But take us somewhere, like get us from that to this, joyously manic Joker. Take us there, but don't just leave us there. Don't leave us there and then make it get worse. Make them get more.
Such a slog.
Yeah.
And like you're right. I was smelling something like they mishandled that cartoon intro. Like usually that like gets me in such a mood.
Like shouldn't the Joker, because it's a cartoon joke. It's like a retelling of the first movie, but it's a cartoon retell. It's you can tweak it. So it's like, what if he was a little more Bugs Bunny? What if he or Daffy Duck? What if he was a little more like hoo hoo hoo? What if he was a little more wacky? But instead he was doing like the greatest hits from the first movie. Like they were too in love with that first movie, and where to me it's like, okay, that first movie, it's a good start. Let's go somewhere. But it was like they were too in love with it.
They kept talking about the first movie though.
Right.
Every 5 minutes they're referencing the first movie. In this movie, it's like, give me a break.
One thing though, maybe one service it did was to just put this whole Joker series to rest. Like they really killed it. Like they really put the nail in its coffin. And so maybe they did the world a service. Maybe it was like Final Nightmare, that Freddy Krueger movie.
Oh, Wes Craven, New Nightmare,
where they had to like keep making Freddy Krueger movies so that like the spirit of Freddy Krueger doesn't get loose. They have to keep. Maybe with this one, it's like the opposite. Like they had to stop making Joker movies to like imprison the spirit of the Joker so he doesn't like do any harm.
Cesar Romero's ghost.
Yeah, like if you take all the Jokers and fuse them together, then you start to get like the Joker of like the comics, like the Joker of the imagination. But yeah, nobody's captured all the elements. So here's another flavor of the Joker. We can close the book on it and like maybe move forward. It's just, I don't know if you've seen the Penguin show.
I saw it's on the thumbnails for it.
Yeah, it's worth talking about another episode. In another episode. I've seen the first episode of it, and it's all right. It's whatever. But it is like, let's make a show that's worse than the comic. Like that, that seems to be the ambition. Let's take all the and it's not. I love the Joker as a character. I'm not as enamored of the Penguin. I feel like you could make the Penguin interesting, but I'm not as enamored of the Penguin just as a character. But this show, it's kind of my quick take on the Penguin show is like, somebody had the idea of like, okay, we got this amazing actor.
Colin Farrell.
Yeah, we got Colin Farrell. Let's make a Sopranos, except build it around the Penguin, because he's a little bit Tony Soprano-ish. But then they were like, okay, let's invert the Tony Soprano thing. So he starts out with this like young kid, but the young kid isn't his like little nephew or whatever. They just look out for. The kid is like his boss. So it's like, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But then they kind of, they short circuit that, which is kind of cool. And then it's like, oh yeah, Tony Soprano had this like relationship with his mom that was like completely adversarial. So then in this, it's like, okay, he's got a mom who's crazy like Tony Soprano's mom, but instead of being crazy and wanting to kill her son, she's like in love with him. Like she thinks he's just like the greatest. And so it's like they're trying something, I don't know if I'm gonna stick around for the ride, but
should I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, give it a shot. Maybe we'll do an episode about it.
Because I enjoyed the Batman with Robert Pattinson.
Oh, I did too.
I'm a fan.
Here's the thing. When you take Batman out of the equation, what do you like? You got to bring your A. Like you can do it, but you got to bring your A game, and they're not bringing their A game. Like if you're gonna take Batman out of the Joker, you got to make the Joker sing. Like not sing, but you got to do the Joker to a T. You got to like blow the doors off the place with your Joker if you're gonna take Batman out of the equation. And same thing with the Penguin. And if you're not doing that, then you're wasting every. Like, yeah.
Yeah, we give it 2 recalls down for the joke.
Yeah, I think this is our first thumbs down review on the really Total Recall show. And and we generally try to be positive. We don't we're not going to tell you we like something if we don't like it.
Yeah.
But like this really is genuinely the first time where it's like I had
Avoid at all costs.
Yeah, I had a bummer of a time at the movies. Like I'd love to hear a defense of it. Like I'd love to hear somebody say like, wait a second, you missed the point of this, and here's the thing. I'd love to hear that. Like I I think it's bullshit. Like I think my take on it is pretty solid. That like it just was like an unpopped kernel. It was like they thought they might have something, they weren't sure, they gave it a chance, and it just weren't. And that's a bummer. Like that's a bummer when that happens. It's a bummer for the people who created it, and it's a bummer for all of us in the
theater. Everyone loses.
Yeah, everybody loses
on both sides of the camera. Avoid the Joker.
Yeah, or go see it for yourself. But it's like I needed someplace to take a nap, and the theater's not the most comfortable place to do that. Like
I haven't seen folks walk out. Like I saw like 2 or 3 people get up and like immediately leave with like 5 minutes left in the movie.
Yeah, they blew it. They should have left like way earlier. Yeah, and like when I saw Transformers 1, and it was sparsely attended. There were just like a handful of other people, but then Joker, pretty packed. A lot of people there to see the Joker. A lot of people pumped. So it's like they went to the wrong movie.
I know. It was like at the beginning, it was a hot crowd. We saw show 1, night 1. Mm-hmm. It was opening night, first showing of the Joker. What a disappointment.
We were ready for a show, and I guess like because it came when it came out. This is like the time when like your shit movies come out, but it's also the time when like your Oscar bait comes out. So I don't know if they like. I thought, oh well, they probably assume they're gonna do great at the Oscars with this movie, but I guess it was the other.
I forgot Joaquin Phoenix did win an Oscar for his Joker portrayal.
Yeah, and again, even in this one, I mean, he was great.
Acting the
Lady Gaga was great. They had no material. They had nothing to work with. And the other thing I want to say, the music was good. They both sounded good, but the guy from Banshees of Inisherin, the guy who was
Brendan Gleeson.
Yeah, he was the security guard in this, and he just sings for like 2 seconds, and it's just him kind of like goofing around in the music room, and he had an amazing voice.
I wanted more.
He had such an amazing voice, and I don't know anything about it. Like I saw him in Paddington 2. Yeah, he was Knuckles in Paddington 2. Marmalade time. That's his big line in Paddington 2. But he's great. Oh, he was in Bruges. He's in. But
we love Brendan Gleeson.
Yeah, but I don't know much about him. Like I've seen a bunch of movies he's in. I don't know anything about him. So it's like, okay, when he was younger, was he like a pop star or something? Was he like some like Irish pop star or like a tenor? Because just has these amazing like tenor.
He can dance too.
Voices.
He's a triple threat.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, hey, like he started singing, and it was just like it was real low in the mix. Because they were just kind of walking down the hallway as he's goofing around. I'm like, that guy can sing.
Yeah, he's got some pipes on him.
So yeah, that's the Joker. Folle À Deux, Joker Baba Booey.
Furry to
duty.
Furry to duty.
We'll see.